In his last speech, Death was recommending Savitri to remain calm. What is this passion and this insistence and this strong will to gain the impossible? The wise think with the ages, no? He says, be still and tardy in the slow, wise world. But Savitri has her reply. What is the calm thou vow'st, O law, O death? Is it not the dull-visioned tread, inert, of monstrous energies, chained in a stark round, soulless and stone-eyed with mechanic dreams? Vain the soul's hope, if changeless law is all. Ever to the new and the unknown press on the speeding eons, justifying God. What were earth's ages if the grey restraint were never broken, and glories sprang not forth, bursting their obscure seed, while man's slow life leaped, hurried into sudden splendid paths by divine words and human gods revealed? Impose not upon sentient minds and hearts the dull fixity that binds inanimate things. Well is the unconscious rule for the animal breeds, content to live beneath the immutable yoke. Man turns to a nobler walk, a master path. I trample on thy law with living feet, for to arise in freedom I was born. If I am mighty, let my force be unveiled, equal companion of the dateless powers. Or else let my frustrated soul sink down, unworthy of Godhead, in the original sleep. I claim from time my will's eternity, God from his moments. Death replied to her, why should the noble and immortal will stoop to the petty works of transient earth, freedom forgotten and the eternal's path? Or is this the high use of strength and thought, to struggle with the bonds of death and time, and spend the labor that might earn the gods, and battle and bear agony of wounds, to grasp the trivial joys that earth can guard in her small treasure chest of passing things? Child, hast thou trodden the gods beneath thy feet, only to win poor shreds of earthly life for him thou lovest, cancelling the grand release, keeping from early rapture of the heavens his soul the lenient deities have called? Are thy arms sweeter than the courts of God? Who will begin today? Rosa?
That Savitri replied to the huge God, what is the calm thou
Want'st.
O Lord, for that? It is not.
Is it not?
That thou vision thread of monstrous energies claim
Chained.
chain in a stark round souls and stone eyed with mechanic dream.
Yes. So he's been telling her to be calm like the hills. Well, what is this calm that you are praising so highly? O law, O death. Here she refers to his other function. He's not only the god of death, he's the god of law who keeps everything in its place, no? Yama. Is this calm that you're talking about, isn't it just the dull vision tread inert of monstrous energies chained in a stark round? It's something inert. Inert is a property of matter. It's one of the fundamental properties of matter, that it doesn't move unless it's pushed. So this calm, aren't the hills calm because there can't be anything else? They are dull-visioned. They don't have any vision, any dream, any possibility of anything except just being where they are. There's some movement, but it's just the movement of the earth, driven by inertia. There are great energies tied up in matter, but they are chained to this stark round. It just goes on and on and on, always the same, without any soul. Stone-eyed. It means blind, really. With mechanic dreams. It's all purely mechanical, driven by nature. She's not going to accept this law of calm. Yes.
Vain the soul's hope, if changeless law is all. Ever to the new and the unknown press on. The speeding eons of justifying God.
Yes. So yes, the soul's hope for a better condition, for a higher life, for new realizations, that would be completely useless and meaningless if unchanging law is really the only law, the only rule. No? But it isn't, she says. Look, there's time always moving on, pressing on. She makes it sound as if time is passing very quickly to the new and the unknown. New possibilities are emerging in the speeding eons. The eons are long stretches of time. So if we look in the long run, if we look with the large vision, we can see that what from a human point of view, because our lifespan is so short, but if we look on a much longer, larger scale, then amazing things are happening. Evolution is always producing new wonders, justifying God, the Creator.
What were Earth's ages if the grey restraints were never broken, and glories sprang not forth, bursting their obscure seed, while man's slow life leaped hurried into sudden splendid paths by divine birth and human gods revealed?
What use would be all these ages of earthly time if everything were always the same, if there was this grey restraint, this holding back of changeless law? If that never got broken, if there were never any surprises, if wonderful, glorious things didn't spring forth out of obscure seeds, a little dried up brown seed, if it's given the right conditions, it may grow into a glorious tree and give wonderful flowers. Like the obscure seed can reveal hidden glories. And even more than that, man's life may seem to be slow, but sometimes there are great impulses. It leaps, hurried, into sudden splendid paths. Big changes come about, glorious new movements inspired by divine words, revealed by human gods, human beings who can live the divinity that's within them. Those things happen. Sarojini?
Impose not upon sentient minds and hearts the dull fixity that binds inanimate things. Well is the unconscious soul for the animal drifts, cannot
content
to live beneath the immutable earth. Man through turns to a nobler world, a master path.
Yes. So she says this law of calm that you are talking about, it doesn't apply to minds and hearts, sentient, conscious minds and hearts. You can't bind conscious beings with this dull fixity that binds inanimate things, things that are not sentient, that are not conscious. That's a law of matter. It doesn't apply to living beings. And there is a rule of unconscious spontaneity, of instinct, which is quite all right. It's good for animal breeds, who are content to live beneath this unchanging yoke of law, the law of the species, the law of the kind. They can't do otherwise. But man, human beings are different. Human beings turn to a nobler walk, not just being driven by nature, able to choose other ways, a nobler walk, a master path. Bhavana.
I trample on thy law with living feet, for to arise in freedom I was born. If I am mighty, let my force be unveiled, equal companion of the deities called, or else let my frustrated soul sink down, unworthy of Godhead in the original sin.
You can read the next to the end of her speech. Yeah.
I climb from time my wings eternity, God from His moments.
Yes, thank you. So she says, I'm a human being and I'm full of divine possibilities, and I just trample on your law. If it's written in a book, I'll throw it down and tread on it. No? With living feet, because I was born to arise in freedom. That is what human beings are supposed to do. And he had mentioned that she is mighty. She says, mighty art thou with the dread goddess filled. So she says, if I am mighty, then let my force be unveiled. Let me show my force. My force is an equal companion of the dateless powers, the unborn and immortal powers who don't have a beginning and an end. And if that's not possible, all right, let my soul sink down back into unconsciousness, unworthy of Godhead. This, she says it ironically. She doesn't believe that this is going to happen.
What is original sleep if she's talking?
The original sleep before the manifestation, before things began to wake up. No? The original unconsciousness at the beginning of the universe. She says, what I want to claim from time, here in this universe of time and space, the fulfillment of my eternal will, my will for love and oneness and immortality. And I want to claim God, the presence of God, of divinity, from His moments, for after all, time belongs to Him. He should reveal Himself to me in time. So she has not convinced him. He thinks he has better arguments still. Ganga Lakshmi.
Death replied to her, why should be noble an immortal will? Stoop to the petty works of transient earth, freedom forgotten and the eternal power.
Yes, this eternal will that you speak about, this noble will, why should it bother about what happens on earth? All the small achievements that can happen on this passing earth, this earth which is impermanent and subject to death, forgetting its eternal freedom and its eternal path. Why will it bother with what happens here on earth? And he mocks her. Would you read, please, at the back? Yeah.
Or is this the high use of strength and thought, to struggle with the bonds of death and time, and spend the labor that might earn the gods, and battle and bear agony of wounds, to grasp the trivial joys that earth can guard in a small treasure chest of passing things.
Yes, if you are strong, if you have these high possibilities, is this the right way to use them? To enter into this struggle, the bonds of death, the bonds of time in the world of matter. To use this energy, this labor that could earn the achievements of the gods, and to go through all this battle and struggle and pain of wounds in order to get these trivial joys, these petty, meaningless little joys that earth can give you, that earth keeps in her small treasure chest of passing things. All the things that earth can give you are impermanent. Passing joys, trivial pleasures. Is this the right way to use your divine strength? Leela.
Child, hast thou trodden the gods beneath thy feet, only to win poor shreds of earthly life? Or in thou lovest cancelling the grand release, keeping from early rapture of the heavens his soul, the lenient deities have called? Are thy arms sweeter than the cords of God?
Yes. If you're so powerful, if you can overcome all these cosmic powers, what are you doing trying to earn just these poor shreds? Shreds are torn pieces, little bits left over of earthly life for him thou lovest. For that, what you're doing is you're trying to cancel this grand release. I'm taking him away from all the sufferings of the earth. I'm going to set him free. I'll give him the grand release. I'm going to give him, at this early age, I'm going to give him the rapture, the intense delight of the heavens. That's what I'm going to give to his soul. The gods have been so generous to him. They have called him now at this young age. And do you think that your arms are sweeter than the courts of God, the heavens, that I'm going to take him to? Sudarshan.
She answered, straight I trample on the road, the strong hand shoot for me with plans of the past. I run where a sweet dreadful voice commands, and I am driven by the wings of God.
Yes. So she says, I'm treading the path that the Lord has opened up for me. The strong hand of God has cut through this road for me. He has planned the paths that we all follow and that Satyavan and I have to follow. I'm following his road, the road that he has shown me. And I'm running, I'm like a horse running where his voice commands me to run. His sweet and dreadful voice. He's telling me where to go and what to do. I am driven by the reins of God. It's like a horse, and God is the charioteer telling it which way to go.
He uses the word dreadful. Dreadful, sweet.
He's both.
Dreadful.
He's
That's
sweet and dreadful. That's our Lord. No, he is sweet and dreadful at the same time. We can't disobey his word. Joel.
Why drew he wide his scheme of mighty worlds, or filled infinity with his passionate breath? Or wherefore did he build my mortal form, and saw in me his bright and proud desires? If not to achieve, to flower in me, to love, carving his human image, richly shaped in thoughts and largenesses and golden powers.
Yes. So, why has God made this scheme of mighty worlds? Why has He filled infinity with His passionate breath, His breath that's full of intensity and life? And why has He given me a human form, given us human forms? Why has He planted in us, like a gardener or a farmer sowing seeds? He has put into us seeds of His bright and proud desires, all the glorious things we dream of and want to achieve. Why did He put those seeds in me if He didn't want them to flower, if He didn't want them to be achieved, to flower in me, if He didn't want me to love? When He made me, He was carving His own image, creating somebody, and a small image of Himself, richly shaped in thoughts and largenesses and golden powers. All these possibilities He has planted in us, and He wants us to achieve them. Praveen.
Far heaven can wait our coming in its calm. Easy the heavens were to build for God. Earth was His difficult matter, earth the glory, the game of the problem in the race and strife. There are the ominous masks, the terrible powers. There it is greatness to create the gods.
Yes. So this is something interesting, also I think special, but perhaps not unique to Sri Aurobindo. Perhaps some of the old rishis, they thought like this. That calm, far heaven that you are talking about, it can wait, it will always be there. We can always achieve that. No? It was easy for God to build those levels of higher consciousness, those heavens. Earth is the difficult thing. This is the challenge, no? This will bring the glory of achievement, of a problem solved, of a struggle won. Because here in the earth, here are those threatening masks, these disguises, the terrible powers, all the oppositions, all that has to be dealt with here to create something on earth. So here on earth, actually she says there on earth, because now they're somewhere in between, but there on earth it is greatness to create the gods. And that's actually what human beings are supposed to do, is to create the gods, give them the possibility to act and live in the material world.
Is it not the spirit, immortal and absolute, always delivered from the grasp of time? Why came he down into the mortal space? A charge he gave to his high spirit in man, and wrote a hidden degree unnatural thought.
Yes. Isn't the spirit always immortal? It's never bound. No, it's always free. It's always absolved, free from sin, free from limitation, free from time, delivered from the grasp of time. Why did it come down into this space which is mortal, which is in the grip of ignorance and death? It has come down with a mission. The Lord has given a charge, a responsibility, a mission to his own high spirit in human beings. And on the summits of nature, on the highest levels of nature, he's written a hidden decree, a command, which has to be fulfilled. That has to be fulfilled by the high spirit in man. And then she tells him what freedom really is. Narendra.
A charge he gave to his high spirit in man.
Yes.
God has given the high spirit to his high spirit. Why it is?
It's his own high spirit which is in us, which we have to fulfill. He has given a responsibility to his own high spirit in us. We have to fulfill it. Much earlier on in the poem, he spoke about this mutual debt, which binds man to the supreme.
Freedom is this with ever-seated soul, large in life's limits, strong in matter's knots, building great stuff of action from the words to make fine wisdom from coarse scattered strands, and love and beauty out of war and night, the nature wonderful, the tame divine.
Yes, thank you. This is really freedom, to be free. With an ever-seated soul, a soul that is always poised and undisturbed, to live largely within the limits of life, to be strong even when we are tied up in matter, in the knots of matter, and in this condition to build great stuff of action, to do heroic deeds out of the stuff, the matter of these worlds, and to find the way to make fine wisdom from coarse, scattered strands. Strands are like threads. They might be, and he says they are coarse. It's not some fine stuff. It's something rough, like jute, perhaps, something like that. And it's just scattered here and there. We have to gather it, and we have to treat it, and make it fine, and spin it, and out of that to create fine wisdom out of these coarse, scattered strands of raw consciousness, primitive consciousness. This is part of the mission of human beings. And we have to create love and beauty out of war and night. He says that this is a wager. A wager is a bet. You take a risk. You don't know what the outcome will be. So My dear teacher Amal Kiran, who had been a great gambler in his youth, told me once that God also is a gambler. No? He takes a chance. This is the wager wonderful. Will it work out? Will it work out? Yes. So, the wager wonderful. The game divine. There's risk, there's hazard. Things might not work out. Josie.
What liberty has the soul which feels not free, unless stripped bare and cannot kiss the bounds? The lover wins.
Wine.
The lover wins around his playmate's limbs, choosing his tyranny, crushed in his embrace. To size him better with her boundless heart, she accepts the limiting circle of his arms, bows full of bliss beneath his mastering hands, and laughs in his rich constraints, most bound, most free. This is my answer to thy lures, O death.
Yes. Oh, this is really speaking out, no? What you're saying something about freedom, no? Death accused her of forgetting about freedom, the eternal freedom and the eternal's path. No? What kind of liberty does the soul have, which doesn't feel free unless it's stripped bare, unless it has no coverings or ties? Shouldn't the soul be able to kiss the bonds that her lover winds around his playmate's limbs? The Lord plays with the soul. They are playmates, and the soul should not mind if the Lord sometimes plays at tying him or her up, no? Can't the soul choose, accept the tyranny, the cruel despotism of the Lord, who forces it to do certain things, crushed in his embrace? The soul should know that it is always free and should be able to enjoy this play of the Lord. Here she is the soul. In order to seize him, to be able to hold him, the Lord, better with her boundless heart, she accepts the limiting circle of his arms when he embraces her. No. She feels full of bliss when she feels his hands forcing her to bow down. And when he ties her up, she laughs in his rich constraints, most bound, most free. So this is a very paradoxical way of expressing a wonderful, profound insight.
Well, can it mean that she's saying that I am also free to bind myself to the physical things,
Yes.
to her husband's love?
Yes.
Basically, she's referring, I can do all that, but I am
Because
also free to be in my husband's love.
That's what she says, yes. 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 Yes, I think we have already, or perhaps it has yet to come, where he really challenges her. Is this the way you prove how free you are, choosing life on earth with your husband? And she says, yes, of course. That's God's plan for me. This is the way that I fulfill his command. This is This is the way He has set for me. And I can surely always be free, even here on earth, in these enjoying earthly pleasures, because after all they are His pleasures. And then she says, and even if it happens that I fall, that I somehow in some way I trip and I fall, won't He give me His hand and pick me up again?
Is she representing soul?
Perhaps we could say that what she's expressing is the true relationship between the individual with the Supreme. The individual soul is actually one with the Lord, no? But then there's this separation for the play, for the enjoyment. So what should be our true attitude? Something like that. So death was trying to lead her away from her mission, from what she felt she had to do, and reproaching her, that I will give Satyavan, I'll take him to paradise. Why are you trying to force him back to all the difficulties of earth? And she said, I have to do what God makes me do. And I do that with joy, with freedom. I'm not compelled. This is the relationship of the lover and the beloved. And all these exchanges are possible between us. So this is my answer to thy lures. You're trying to lure me away, draw me away from my path. So we still have many pages of this conversation, many wonderful revelations. Mm. 15 more pages. So we'll continue next week. Mm. So shall we go back and read Savitri's replies? Bottom of page 651.
But Savitri replied to the huge God, what is the calm thou vaunt'st, O law, O death? Is it not the dull-visioned tread inert of monstrous energies chained in a stark round, soulless and stone-eyed with mechanic dreams? Vain the soul's hope, if changeless law is all. Ever to the new and the unknown press on the speeding eons, justifying God. What were earth's ages if the grey restraint were never broken, and glories sprang not forth, bursting their obscure seed, while man's slow life leaped, hurried into sudden splendid paths by divine words and human gods revealed. Impose not upon sentient minds and hearts the dull fixity that binds inanimate things. Well is the unconscious rule for the animal breeds, content to live beneath the immutable yoke. Man turns to a nobler walk, a master path. I trample on thy law with living feet, for to arise in freedom I was born. If I am mighty, let my force be unveiled, equal companion of the dateless powers. Or else let my frustrated soul sink down, unworthy of Godhead, in the original sleep. I claim from time my will's eternity, God from his moments. Death replied to her, why should the noble and immortal will stoop to the petty works of transient earth, freedom forgotten and the eternal's path? Or is this the high use of strength and thought, to struggle with the bonds of death and time, and spend the labour that might earn the gods, and battle and bear agony of wounds, to grasp the trivial joys that earth can guard in her small treasure chest of passing things? Child, hast thou trodden the gods beneath thy feet only to win poor shreds of earthly life for him thou lovest, cancelling the grand release, keeping from early rapture of the heavens his soul the lenient deities have called? Are thy arms sweeter than the chords of God? She answered, straight I trample on the road the strong hand hewed for me which planned our paths. I run where his sweet, dreadful voice commands, and I am driven by the reins of God. Why drew he wide his scheme of mighty worlds, or filled infinity with his passionate breath? Or wherefore did he build my mortal form, and sow in me his bright and proud desires, if not to achieve, to flower in me, to love, carving his human image richly shaped in thoughts and largenesses and golden powers? Far heaven can wait our coming in its calm. Easy the heavens were to build for God. Earth was his difficult matter. Earth the glory gave of the problem and the race and strife. There are the ominous masks, the terrible powers. There it is greatness to create the gods. Is not the spirit immortal and absolved always, delivered from the grasp of time? Why came it down into the mortal space? A charge he gave to his high spirit in man, and wrote a hidden decree on nature's tops. Freedom is this, with ever-seated soul, large in life's limits, strong in matter's knots, building great stuff of action from the worlds, to make fine wisdom from coarse scattered strands, and love and beauty out of war and night, the wager wonderful, the game divine. What liberty has the soul which feels not free unless stripped bare, and cannot kiss the bonds the lover winds around his playmate's limbs, choosing his tyranny, crushed in his embrace? To seize him better with her boundless heart, she accepts the limiting circle of his arms, bows full of bliss beneath his mastering hands, and laughs in his rich constraints, most bound, most free. This is my answer to thy lures, O death.